Welcome to In the Hot Seat with the Tenney Group. I'm Spencer Tenney. It's good to be with you. The doctor is in the house. Today we have Dr. Mark Manera, founder and CEO of Supply Chain Fitness. Doctor, welcome to the Hot Seat.
Yeah, thank you so much, Spencer, for having me on. I'm excited for the conversation.
Well, I'm extremely excited about what we're going to jump in here. But before we heat things up, why don't you just take 20 seconds, tell us a little bit about Supply Chain Fitness and what you're doing over there right now.
Yeah, so what we do is we help trucking and logistics companies kind of have a competitive advantage in retention and risk mitigation from, industry-specific exercise, nutrition, and accountability coaching for their drivers.
Well, with that being said, let's jump right into some hot stats here. So I'm looking at some of these things that are on your website. 1 out of 7 truck drivers have diabetes, correct?
Yep,
Average truck driver is 11 times more likely to die on the job than any other employee. Does that sound right?
it's crazy, isn't it? Yes.
And then there was another one there in terms of 2 times the probability of being obese, being a truck driver. Is that correct?
Yeah, 85% of drivers are overweight, and they're 2 times more likely to be obese than the average population.
That's incredible. Now, so obviously we're no short of supply of all kinds of challenges within trucking logistics, but the whole country rolls on the backs of our drivers. And so this is a major crisis that we're dealing with. So let's just kind of start with, like, how do we get to what is the source of these issues? Obviously, there's a lifestyle here, but what can we point to that is influencing these incredibly bad statistics that we just went over?
Yeah, I think there's like a couple of different variables that go into it. I think, like you mentioned there, the lifestyle of access to some healthier food options, access to gyms, just the quality of life sometimes, especially for the OTR drivers, I think makes it difficult. And I kind of look at it as their lifestyle adds a ton of different barriers that they kind of have to jump over to live a healthier life. And I think in general, the topic of health and fitness just hasn't been something that's been in the forefront or the expertise for a lot of trucking companies. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like after January 1st, where they maybe do like a water challenge or like a walking challenge, I think January 19th is like annual failure New Year's resolution day. I think after that, it's kind of just swept under the rug because, either some companies are like, well, health and wellness is like an individual conversation, or other companies are just like, I don't really know what to do here. I can Google it and put something together, but it's not specific to my drivers. And so it's kind of easier just to kind of forget about it and put it in the corner and not do anything. And then, I think the other aspect and something that I saw working with drivers in the clinic was that there's a mindset that a lot of drivers have that unfortunately it kind of feels like a job, an aspect of the job of, well, I'm a driver, I can't really do anything about it. You look at these statistics, I got the, world going against me. And so I think there's kind of both of those angles. And I think that's another hurdle that drivers have to get over, the fact of it is possible to be healthy out there.
Mm-hmm. So let me just back up a little bit. What do we know about in terms of, obviously the lifestyle doesn't help the health situation. Do we know anything about in terms of those choices pre-trucking? It's like is the industry attracting people that already had those habits, or is this something that just kind of happens as part of that lifestyle that there's no options around it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and actually an angle that I haven't really spent a lot of time or saw a lot of research or just a lot of people talk about. I'm not sure. I don't know if it is the nature of the job in general. I've heard tons of drivers' stories of, hey, I used to work in a warehouse, or I used to do X, Y, and Z, and I was fit, and then I put 40 pounds on when I got behind the wheel. And so I think there's probably some, hey, it draws in people who, like to be a little bit potentially isolated and are introverted and kind of want to live that lifestyle slash are adventurous and want to drive all over the country. And I don't know if I would say inherently it pulls people in who are overweight or not, don't make their health a priority. But I do think once they're in, it does kind of turn the knob up and make it more difficult for those people who don't really put in a lot of effort to make their health a priority, or
Mhm.
haven't in the past, to kind of just ease into it a little bit more.
Well, again, however it's happening, it's undeniable in terms of the risk associated with that. And in my world, where you have risk, you certainly have some issues around business value and the ability to effectively transition ownership. And especially right now, when it's so hard to grow a business organically because of trying to get new drivers to service new growth opportunities. You just can't. So at the very least, you have to keep your existing drivers healthy and working on the road, just to keep the status quo. So tell me about what are some of the best practices when you're working with organizations. How are they partnering with drivers to help them be in position to promote their own health in a more effective way?
Yeah, so I think the best practices come from a couple of different angles. So I think the first one, and really the biggest differentiator, I think, from a 99.9% of wellness options out there, or health and fitness options out there, is providing them with something that's specific to their lifestyle.
Hmm.
Because a lot of drivers just inherently don't think that sitting behind the wheel for 11 hours, they're at these different truck stops or locations every single day, or maybe they are home every day, just the lifestyle in general and the options they have available to them, that it's possible. And I think when you provide something that shows them, okay, hey, you're at the truck stop, or you're at McDonald's or this fast food restaurant, here's what the healthiest options are, or you're in the truck and you're waiting for 2 hours for your load, here's a workout that you can do in the back of your bunk, and here's all the equipment you need, and you don't have to carry around a barbell and a bunch of dumbbells to do it. You just need this resistance band. And so I really think, especially for buy-in from the driver's perspective, showing them and speaking their language and showing that, hey, you're meeting them where they're at, and you understand their lifestyle and the difficulty of it, and so you are here to provide resources and coaching, and that accountability that has their background in mind and their lifestyle in mind. And I really think that's where, specifically in trucking and transportation, is where a lot of companies have had a lot of success, and then other companies have failed, and wellness in general has put a little sour taste in their mouth, because they just go on Google, they have the HR person go on Google, and it's their fifth, sixth, seventh job that they're already doing, because they're balancing all these different things, and they
Right.
just grab a program for an office staff person and try to shove it in the square peg of a driver, and it just doesn't work. And so that's what I would say from best practices, is having something specific to the driver's lifestyle.
No, I think that's great. Just eliminating the need to make any decisions. Like this is what it is,
Correct.
and I think that's really spot on. So clearly you're passionate about this, doctor. But I got to know, you could be inspiring and affecting lives in any space. What is it about trucking and specifically working with truck drivers that has you here?
Yeah, so now being in the industry, I didn't realize this going in, but I don't have a background in trucking, and I know now a lot of people in trucking have trucking in their blood, generations, grandpa, parents, and everything, and I just didn't have that experience. And so my first, I guess, point with drivers was rehabbing them in the clinic. Work comp cases, musculoskeletal injuries, post orthopedic surgeries like a total hip replacement or a knee replacement, and I just really got to know drivers. I got to hear about their lifestyle. Have you ever been to physical therapy before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so it's not like going to your MD where you're in and out in 5 minutes.
Right.
I really got to know the drivers. I got to learn about their lifestyle, and I was just really inspired by a
Hmm.
couple of them, and just really honestly seeing the gap, and seeing that mindset that I talked about earlier on, just the fact that because they're a driver, they don't think it's possible. And
Hmm.
then as I look deeper, just really shocked and inspired to do something about it when I saw the statistics on the average driver, and specifically the life expectancy of drivers, of just having for signing up to be a truck driver, you have a life expectancy 16 years less than the average population. And I just, deep down in my, heart, I don't think anyone's career should define their health. And I really, in that moment, and as I've gotten deeper into it, unfortunately, that's what's happening for a lot of drivers right now. And, I'm trying to do something about it.
I love that. I certainly can relate. I mean, as far as us doing work specifically in the space for almost 50 years now, it's specifically for the people that you just described. It. How can you not root for the people that make America go?
Yep.
And so that's pretty awesome that you have dedicated yourself to doing that. So tell us about a time where you saw someone who did not have that mindset, but you were able to help work through that and to have them take more ownership over their health, possibly work with a company or with you to get on a different path. What did it look like? How did the change take place?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I really and our kind of approach in general to drivers is helping them take that first step. And I think it's drivers, but I think our culture in general, when it comes to making diet changes and lifestyle changes in general, kind of have this all or nothing approach. I know I've found myself in this of I change my whole diet tomorrow and restrict everything, and
Right.
I'm holding on for dear life for about a week, and then I'm kind of back to square one, right? So you've had that experience as well, I can tell. And so the one story I like to tell is there's a female driver that was in our program, and she has kind of been done that yo-yo of on off all of these different fad diets. And we just during our onboarding call with her, I was just like, hey, what's one small low hanging fruit that we can change? And she drank a ton of soda. And so all we did was, hey, let's just cut down on the amount of sugar and calories you're drinking throughout the day. And just from that one change, we didn't start this huge diet flip, or we didn't try to change anything else about our diet. We didn't start this huge workout routine. She's feeling more energized. Over time, she was losing weight from just cutting down, hundreds of calories a day from Coke and Dr. Pepper. And it's just kind of seeing that and just seeing the impact that one change can have on someone. And it doesn't feel like it's this huge 180 flip in their lifestyle. It's just a small change here and there. And I've seen that a ton of times with drivers, and I think that's been our success with the drivers, is because throughout their day-to-day life they have so much they have a lot on their plate, and when you add this huge change on top of it, it's just really easy for it to kind of fall off. And so just taking one small change at a time, a lot of drivers have found that successful, and found building up those small wins, and then stacking those wins on top of each other to be a much better approach versus the typical, hey, lose 30 pounds in the next
Mm-hmm.
2 days.
I love that. That Dr. Pepper hits home. I have a family member that was diagnosed with diabetes and
Mm,
huge lifetime Dr. Pepper drinker, and literally like did the exact same thing that you just said. Just eliminate the Dr. Pepper, and that was like that in itself. She was able to get control of her blood sugar almost immediately, and so yeah, small things can make a big difference in just getting started. So I think that we can probably both agree that our friends driving trucks carry an unbelievable amount of stress on their
yeah.
shoulders going down the highway, an unhealthy amount of stress, quite frankly. What? Let's talk about mental health and things on that nature. What are some of the things that you're doing with drivers to address mental health, stress, anxiety, all the things that they're daily faced with?
Well, I think number one is just building that coaching relationship and showing them that there's someone on their side that they can reach out to, talk to, and that is meeting them where they're at, and kind of has that balance of, hey, when I need to push them and say, hey, Spencer, come on, man, we need to get your workout in, and then also show that empathy. And I
Mm,
think there's a really good balance there, and I think that's kind of part of the art of health and fitness coaching. But I
mhm,
think having that person there who's sending them a text message every week, checking up on them, just goes a long way. And
mhm,
then, the other aspect that we've found, especially for the drivers who are really engaged and really making, big changes in our program, is getting involved in our community. I
mhm.
don't know how much time you've spent in trucking Facebook groups I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. It's a very negative environment, and there's a lot of people just saying, poor me, look at all this bad stuff that's happening. And I think when you
Right.
live in that environment and that's your community, because a lot of drivers, social media, if it's Facebook groups or TikTok, that's their environment and that's their friends, because they're driving all over the place. And I think
Right.
it's really easy to just be like, oh crap, this sucks, when you're in that type of environment. And so getting in and us building a community of people that are on the same health and fitness journey, trying to improve themselves, but also positive, helping hold each other accountable, sharing tips and tricks on what they're finding at Love's, or oh hey, here's this hack that I found to organize stuff in the back of my truck. Just sharing those positive stories out on the road, I think, goes a long way for drivers. And I think those are two of the big areas on the mental health side of things that
Mhm.
we've focused on. And I think there's a ton of room to improve there as well. It's just from a physical therapy standpoint, obviously, that's mental health is not my expertise, but I think everything goes into it. And I think you could also argue, the exercise aspect is just as mentally helpful as physically helpful.
I think that's awesome. Hey, so two last things. One, give us a glimpse of a relationship with you as a fitness coach over a given week. What would somebody expect in that experience? What would that look like?
Yeah, so a driver or another, office staff or someone at a trucking company would have our app right on their phone. They would get, a workout that's customized to their current fitness level and, where they want to work out and their goals, all of that, that they can see right on their phone if it's daily, or if, we schedule it out based off of their schedule throughout the week, and they can go there. They can do it in their truck, outside of their truck, or at home, and they just follow along with the written and video instructions. We do a habit-based nutrition program, so every week, actually every 2 weeks, we focus on building one small habit. Right now, we're helping drivers and other office staff build an emergency healthy snack stash, because so many drivers grab the bag of Doritos when they're hungry and they don't have that healthy snack stash in the back of their truck. So we're doing that and helping them, eat a couple healthy snacks throughout the day. And then, we do every single day, there's people in our community talking. They can jump back in there. And then we send a weekly check-in text message based off of your utilization and your goals, and kind of that accountability that you wanted and you set during your onboarding call with one of our coaches. And so that's kind of what it would be like for a week, for the drivers. And then for the companies, it's really being able to have, if you want to say, a consultant or someone who is taking the lead on improving the health of your drivers, and not having to add it to the plate of your safety manager or your HR team or whoever else would handle that at your organization.
Well, I love it. I'm really appreciative of the work that you're doing and how it affects the people that we care about most. Um, so supplychainfitness.com is where they can find you, correct?
Yep.
All right, one last question, little wild card for you here. So, like, let's just say you're back at your college.
Okay.
You're not playing rugby because
No, definitely not play rugby.
but you're bound to be a doctor of something other than physical therapy and fitness and things. Had you taken another path, where would Dr. Mark have landed?
Ooh. I actually really enjoy making content and podcast slash social media stuff. So I might just end up being an influencer TikTok person doing. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know, something in that realm, or I really like the business side of things. So working in the startup world or business development, somewhere in there, I think would probably be the route that I took.
What I took away from that, a doctor of TikTok is what I heard.
Yeah,
So, well, hey, Mark, listen, so thank you so much for being with us in the
Yeah.
hot seat. I think this is going to bless a lot of people, and I wish you well in your journey of health and wellness with the folks that we care about. That's going to do it for us here in the hot seat. We'll see you next time.